There's very few things in this world that leave me completely and utterly speechless. Shane Dawson dropping a video on his birthday to do with the recovery of Eugenia Cooney was definitely one of those moments. But what left me even more flabbergasted was Eugenia's 3 alleged ex-friends immediately coming out to tell their side of a story that nobody asked for. Today I'm hitting you with a quick tea segment because you guys really wanted to hear my opinion on this entire situation. I'm not claiming to be a medical professional, a clinician, or anything of the sort, but I will be imparting my personal opinion on this extremely delicate situation. And hopefully I will try my best to be as tactful and as delicate as I can because this is a very triggering subject. So this is your preemptive trigger warning. Y'all ready? Let go. Because in Britain, we don't spill tea, we drink it. Bitch!
Petty. Most of these bitches is petty.
Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Bitch! Yes, it's your girl Petty Paige back at it again with yet another video for you hoes. Now, you've not seen this kind of segment on my channel, that's because it is new. I've decided that I'm going to try and do some like shorter tea videos for the people out there who keep telling me that the 27-minute plus videos just really isn't doing it for them. So I'm going to try my best to keep it as short and as snappy as possible. With that said, I've got a lot to get through, so let's move the on. So to briefly bring you up to speed, yesterday Shane Dawson made a video on his main channel. Basically, it was another documentary style video that we have come to love from Shane Dawson, sitting down and discussing with Eugenia Cooney her personal recovery.
Friends aren't doing anything, whatever, but I'm sure behind the scenes, I'm sure everybody was always reaching out and whatever.
There was almost like some people that like never really said anything to me like before, but then like later on were kind of like bullying me into like trying to make like decisions for me.
Now, if you guys don't remember, this was a couple of months ago, Eugenia Cooney posted to her Twitter that she would be taking a break voluntarily while she gets the help that she so desperately needs. Now, although there is a lot of people who have been following the whole Eugenia Cooney story, who will definitely be up to date, to most of social media, this was a complete out of the blue announcement from Eugenia Cooney. Well, it turns out that it wasn't completely out of the blue to Jaclyn, Glenn, and friends, as they were the ones who had successfully orchestrated Eugenia Cooney getting sectioned, aka a 5150, which is when they deem you as not having full mental capacity and they forcibly take you into a facility to get help. Shortly after the release of Shane Dawson's video, Jaclyn Glenn released her video onto her channel titled The Return of Eugenia Cooney, The Real Truth. Brackets, full story. Jaclyn and her friends tried to tell their side of the story, but it was extremely jumbled, extremely driven by emotion, and didn't make much sense. After consulting with Keemstar, they made a shorter, more concise video speaking about what they had spoken about in their original video. So let's take a look what it is that they had to say.
I mean, she has right now a seemingly beautiful recovery story that I don't want to mess with. I don't want to make seem negative. I would love for everything in that video to have been the whole truth, so that it could truly be celebrated, but it was, I think, a manipulation. And I think potentially, I don't know if Shane knows the whole story, or maybe he does, but not the details potentially, and decided to go along with it because he thought it would help her. I think that he has her best interests at heart, but the video that he posted was so frustrating and hurtful to me, and I have stayed very silent for a long time for fear of her not getting treatment. It was communicated to me that if I ever talked about what actually happened, that there was a chance that as a result she'd be pulled out of treatment. So I never said anything because I was terrified.
So basically her main reason for making this video was that she felt as if Shane Dawson's video didn't convey a truthful message of what is actually going on with Eugenia Cooney. She fears that her mother not only is her enabler, but also is her abuser. She explained how her and her two friends who were sitting next to her, as well as Katie Morton, had organised to orchestrate an intervention, if you will, to try and get Eugenia to go to the rehabilitation facility, which she was eventually 5150'd.
I know Katie Morton. I've reached out to her. I have emails with her explaining the situation I was in with Eugenia because I wanted to help her. I tried calling the police. They kind of laughed at me on the phone. They're like, oh yeah, that YouTube girl, like, we've been there. There's nothing we can do. We're not mental health professionals. We can't take her. I called mental health professionals and there was nothing they could do because they weren't law enforcement and they could not forcibly enter a home without permission, which is not something that anyone in that household was going to give. So the only thing that I could do, and this was discussed with Katie in emails, so she knows who I am, she knows what we were planning on, so the video with Shane is confusing to me that seemed to be missing, that no one, understood that, like, there were so many things going on that were toxic in that household that I explained in detail, and it was just glossed over, like maybe they don't think it's a real problem or they don't know the extent of what happened. But
she states that there was two sets of police that arrived at her home, one to forcibly take Eugenia Cooney to the rehabilitation facility it is that she stayed, and another set that came to speak to Jaclyn Glenn in regards to kidnapping, as her mother allegedly made a claim that Eugenia Cooney had been kidnapped by Jaclyn Glenn and friends.
I lied to her. We all kind of did. We pretended we were going to go to an escape room, which is a thing that we would regularly do. So it seemed believable to her and her mom. Specifically her mom. Yeah. So I took screenshots of pretending that I had gotten tickets and things, and we had a group chat going, and I felt like an asshole. We all kind of did, being like, we're so excited to go to the escape room. And she came over and we sat her down and we talked to her, and it was pretty clear that she had no intention of getting any kind of help. Like, she said, maybe I'll go see a doctor in months from now.
Yeah, it was 3 months later she was going to be heading home to Connecticut, and she would be willing to see a doctor then.
Police were on their way because she was on the phone with her mom, who was screaming at me, by the way. She verbatim called me a bitch for doing what I was doing. She called the cops on me and tried to have me arrested for kidnapping.
Correct.
So when Eugenia was trying to leave, we had two sets of cops show up. One to take her into care and one to arrest me for kidnapping. Clearly.
Jaclyn Glenn and friends then went on to speak about Eugenia Cooney's home life and her lack of freedom as a 24-year-old woman, and the fact that her life is heavily managed and heavily orchestrated by her mother and her driver/chauffeur, Edgar, which was evident and apparent when Eugenia Cooney couldn't even speak to Shane Dawson alone. She was there alongside a lawyer who was overseeing everything in her mother's absence.
She's never allowed to go anywhere. It's all completely manipulated by the mother. There is a driver, Edgar. Every hangout with friends is an orchestrated pickup and drop-off by Edgar, who waits outside. These were not people looking out for Eugenia's best interest. These are people looking for some form of gain and manipulation in a way that this video, the Shane video that came out today, completely glosses over the real problems and makes us completely worried that she's not okay.
I just feel like, yeah, Eugenia's a great person. I love her. I care about her. But the people surrounding her in her life, I feel like, are dangerous. And I think that they were aware of Shane's potential to cover their tracks and make this look like some kind of beautiful recovery story that everyone was in on and rooting for. And it couldn't be further from the truth. I had to fight them so hard to get her into care, and I'm now viewed as a bully. We're bullies.
The following day, Jaclyn Glenn and friends decided to make a more concise video, basically making sure that people were fully understanding exactly what it is that they meant by their original video, as they were met with quite a bit of backlash from everyone on social media who didn't understand the original concept of the first video. Take a look at what it is that they had to say.
Our point in making that video was to explain that Eugenia's mom is a dangerous person. She fought us on trying to get her help every single step of the way. We had to trick Eugenia into coming to my place so that we could help her. Her mom yelled at me, screamed at me, tried to call the cops on me to have me arrested for kidnapping. Her mom is somebody who is manipulative, and I do believe that this collaboration with Shane Dawson was something that was intentionally done, because Shane is somebody who has the ability with his success to paint someone as the most amazing person in the world or a complete sociopath. You know, he holds a lot of power in his audience, and that is something that I am sure was recognized and used.
Okay, so that's pretty much the be-all and end-all of that entire situation thus far. Now, here are my personal thoughts on the entire situation. Now, I understand where Jaclyn Glenn is coming from 100%. I do believe that she has the best interest for Eugenia Cooney, but there is a small part of me that feels that maybe this might be a little bit too soon. But at the same time, I can understand from her perspective how it must feel to have a friend that you have literally single-handedly been the powerhouse behind having her go into a rehabilitation facility to get the help that she needs, and for somebody else to spin it as a completely different narrative. I understand that must upset her personally, but bigger than that, I think it's very important to know she is talking about a person who is in recovery who is returning back to their original situation. For instance, if you are a drug addict and you go back to the den, you are going back to exactly the same situation, exactly the same people, exactly the same temptations, and it's not going to help your recovery. In fact, it's going to hinder it. So I understand her wanting to speak immediately and wants to speak now so that her recovery isn't hindered by her current and present situation, which is what she's gone back to at home. Because I don't know how many people were able to watch the act on Hulu, but I watched the act on Hulu. It's about the Gypsy Blanchard story. Now, allegedly, Gypsy Blanchard's mother had something called Munchausen syndrome by proxy, which is a mental illness. And because of that, she wanted to keep her daughter ill, but also reap the benefits of her sick daughter from Make-A-Wish Foundation, etc., etc. If you don't know about the Gypsy Blanchard story, definitely check it out. It is really, really intriguing. In fact, I think that Ready to Glare made a video about it, so definitely go and check out her video. But I see a lot of similarities between what Jaclyn Glenn and her friends are alleging is the behavioural patterns of Eugenia Cooney's mother and what I saw from Gypsy Blanchard's mother and how she acted. Now, this is not me diagnosing, but I think it's something to note that maybe there could possibly be two mental health patients living in the same home together. Maybe it's a bad situation because it's not just one person who needs help, there's two. And because the overall situation of their home life hasn't been looked into too deeply, maybe we've got two mental health patients just triggering each other, which is a really, really toxic environment to be in, especially if you're in recovery. I also think it's important to note for Jaclyn Glenn that although she had this conversation with Katie Morton is still a medical professional. She is bound by the Hippocratic Oath, and she cannot go in and influence or change the mind of Shane Dawson to have made this documentary or tell him any personal details about her private home situation that she had from a third party, which would have been you. So I don't believe that Katie Morton is to blame in this current situation, because she has a duty of care to all of her patients and she has a confidentiality policy that she has to keep, period. With a T. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Tell me what it is that your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Tell me if you like this new format. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like it, if you don't, I don't give a shit anyway. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification with the bell so that you guys get a notification every single time the Petty Paige posts new content. I personally think that regardless of the situation, we have to applaud and commend Jaclyn Glenn for being one of the driving forces behind Eugenia Cooney getting the help that she needed and hopefully making a speedy recovery. And even though she may have spoken too soon, a part of me thinks that it wasn't soon enough. But that's just my humble opinion, and don't take my opinion for it because I'm just petty. Bye guys.
Petty, 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 petty.